Hello and welcome. My name is Shira Cohen, and I'm the host of this podcast and the author of a book called Reclaiming Our Well-Being. I'm a yoga teacher, yoga therapist, Ayurvedic wellness educator, and emotional coach. So this is a space of sharing stories that uplift, encourage, and transform. So enjoy. Hello and namaste, everyone. I have had a wonderful summer. I've been away with my daughter for 3 weeks. We went to Sweden and I was just off for 5 weeks. It was the first big holiday I've had since the COVID debacle happened. So I really needed it, and it's really helped to slow me down, because everything was slow in Sweden. Even the mosquitoes and the flies, you could just catch them without even trying. It was very funny. And you would just caress a cat and then pick it up and it would just go limp in your arms. It was so nice. And people all calm, and if you speak to them, they're very friendly and open, but they're quite reserved. And the land, we traveled by train. We went from the south all the way up to 2/3 of Sweden in the north, and it's magical, it's mystical. There's lakes and lakes and lakes and lakes and forests and forests and forests and hills and mountains, and in between the lakes or on the lakes you have these tiny little islands with 1 or 2 trees or a whole forest and a house. Just these little bubbles, people's worlds. It was really magical, and I've been playing with the idea of going to live there in Sweden, because it's impossible to buy anything in Europe unless you have a lot of money, which I don't. And but I'm starting to earn good money so I can save something and I could buy something in Sweden, because life is quite expensive there. But since the last year, with the energy inflation crises going on in Europe, it's almost as expensive here as it is in Sweden, so it doesn't make much difference. But the houses are still quite cheap, and I shouldn't be telling all of you this because I don't want everyone moving there. But it is like this mystical place. I felt like I was going back into fairyland or something. I've always wanted to live in fairyland. I never liked human land very much. And yeah, it's like being there when it's rained or something, and then there's a mist on the lake and between the mountains, and then you all of a sudden see this little island appear out of the mist. It's very beautiful. And all the people I met were very nice. So before I left, I was thinking, okay, universe, please send me some messages, make it very clear to me if this is like a place I should be living at some point. And so we got to Malmö, me and my daughter, on the first day, and we had to spend 4 hours there before our next train was going. So I thought, I wish I had the number of my friend who used to live here. There was a friend from Berlin who was living in Berlin last time I saw her 12 years ago. But there was no way to get her number, and I just thought about her. And then literally half an hour later, I bump into her in the station while I'm looking for some food to eat. And she's there with her 5-year-old son. So I didn't know she had a son, and we hadn't spoken since 12 years, but we were just so happy to see each other. It was incredible. Like, out of 8 billion people, and she wasn't even living there. She was living in Stockholm, and she was just in Malmö that day with her son for some event he was going to. So we spent 2 hours in the park with Shay and her son, and just talking, and she gave me her number. And so I visited her when I was in Stockholm as well. Yeah, it was amazing. That for me was a very good sign. And then also at the end of the journey, I'll just tell you the end, like the whole time in between, I was just calmed, and I was resolved to take that calm with me towards here. Like, I want to keep that calm, that pace of life. People are much slower and relaxed, and there's space. Like, the population density here in The Hague, or in the Netherlands, is what is it? For every square kilometer, it's 526. And over there, it's 19. Like Netherlands is one of the most populated countries in the world. I didn't realize it's more populated than India. That's how bad it is. No wonder I get like my lungs feel full every time. There's no air. Everyone's just breathing old air of each other. Anyway, so yeah, at the end of the journey, taking the train back down, we had to leave at 5 in the morning, taking the first train, and then we would arrive about 12 or 1 o'clock at night. And on the way back in Germany, I met some other friends. Like we just went visiting friends in Sweden, but I met some friends from The Hague, and they were so stressed. Well, it was mom, dad, and their little baby. But she was totally stressed, like she'd just come from Berlin and she was all in a hurry to go to the next train. And I said, well, it doesn't really matter if we hurry, we'll just be in a half hour later. So I'm not getting stressed. But Shay really wanted to hang out with them because she liked the baby. We knew them from primary school. So I said, okay. But then she wanted to take another train, the mother. And I was just like, okay, see you later. I'm staying calm. I'm keeping my calm. I've just come from Sweden. I spent lots of money to enjoy myself. I'm not losing that calm just to hang out with the baby and the mother who's totally stressed out. So we didn't go with them. And I said, I'll see you in Den Haag. It was so crazy, the contrast of these two different friends. And when we were in Malmö, lying in the grass in the park waiting for the next train, and my friend had just left, I asked my daughter, so what do you think about Sweden? How does the land feel? How do the people feel? And I was picking up like this calm, spacious, like slower pace. We hadn't met the mosquitoes yet. And yeah, she described exactly what I was feeling. So it wasn't just me like projecting this onto Sweden because that's what I want it to be, because I want to live there because it's affordable. So it was very funny to know this and hear this from my daughter, who's very cynical. Of course, she's a teenager, so everything's stupid and everything sucks. So I was really glad to hear it, and she was already happy to be there. It was so nice. It was so special. And yeah, so we met lots of lovely friends. Some friends that I know from The Hague, who were Swedish and had invited us to stay in their country home, where we stayed for a week, and another week we spent with another friend who lives with her son somewhere in the middle of a forest, in her beautiful little Swedish house, like old 170-year-old house built from proper logs, no insulation, none of this fake stuff. Just real well-built houses from beautiful logs. Amazing. And these old fireplaces. So yeah, my dream is to buy like a huge house, because you can literally buy huge houses with huge bits of land. But I would like to buy like in a village that is being sold, because I've been told by different people that whole villages get sold because people are just leaving the countryside. So I would like to buy this with other friends and partners and couples, so that we could build up like a community of friends who everyone does their own thing, everyone has their own house, but we share certain things. We look after each other's kids if it's necessary, we help out with each other's roofs or whatever is necessary, and we can do projects together. Like I would love to be doing, obviously, retreats and of meditation and yoga and Ayurveda, learn cooking, going walking, understanding about herbs and how to prepare herbs to keep them in oils and other concoctions so that you can heal naturally. I would love to do that, and then have other people who do design or massage or body work, psychotherapy, mindfulness, whatever, we could do permaculture, whatever people are into, woodwork, accounting, I don't know, it can be anything, but that people can leave the city and just stay in this beautiful place where we'd have some guest rooms or maybe some houses, like little cabins. Because me and Shay, we stayed up north the first week for ourselves, just by ourselves, in these little tiny cabins, but it was so beautiful. We were in the forest and we had a spa and sauna and swimming pool and then buffet breakfast every morning. So I'd love to have that too, so this would be the shared space that we all look after. And then you have guests coming in so you don't get bored and kill each other because you live together too long without new fresh blood and ideas, which always needs to stream in to keep a community alive and healthy. You don't want to just stay alive. You want to be healthy and thriving and still know what the world needs, what's going on for the rest of society, but then create this haven where people can retreat and not just do this spiritual stuff, which finally I found back my spirituality. I've been practicing yoga for 33 years. In the last 3 years, I'd lost the connection, the spiritual devotion that I had for so long. Like, I never began it in that way. I was a spiritual seeker, but not so devotional. And the devotion came much later. But then the last few years, I was just throwing that spiritual stuff out the door because, I wanted to make it secular and that whole science kind of world thing, which has taken over our societies. Societies have become so secular and we're not even allowed to speak about God or divine or spirit or essence or source. But it's there. I mean, it's always been there. It's always going to be there. We're never going to live without it. You can do as much research as you like as a material scientist or a materialistic scientist or a scientific materialist, however you want to put it. Classical physics, which is limited. It's now proven and known, and just because we can't explain what we know in quantum physics and more pragmatic kind of scientism, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The senses are not our deepest and only forms of perception. There is mind and consciousness, and that is bringing it back to spiritual. And spiritual, without spiritual yoga, has lost all meaning to me. I don't know how it is for other people. And I see that the loss of meaning in our societies and the loss of meaning in our culture and the loss of meaning in conversation, the loss of dialogue to spirit, and that there is this underlying essence that we will never ever be able to describe or understand through whatever kind of instruments science may come up with. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and we've always known it existed. So I've read some beautiful books in the time that I was away once called Embracing Mind. It's by B. Alan Wallace, who is both a scientist and a decades-long meditator of the Buddhist tradition. And he's written this amazing book called Embracing Mind, so the common ground of science and spirituality. And there's a little part I want to read about it, which I think is important. And he's talking about Immanuel Kant, who was a philosopher and suggested that human psychology and science, hang on, I'm just trying to find a bit that I'm reading. So he was saying that since both the theory and the data were filtered through our distorted mind, which it is, we always have filters and biases. Humans have no direct access to things in themselves. Science studied not the real universe, but only phenomena as packaged by human senses and mind. The concepts basic to Newtonian science seemed intuitively correct only because the mind's structure produced intuitive notions of time and space. But what if time and space are no longer those concepts, which is kind of, I think, where we're arriving to as a collective consciousness. We're subconsciously coming to that conclusion that the constructs we have are no longer functional. And because so much of our society, our institutions, our education systems and other systems are built on this classical physics and Newtonian ideas, which are very outdated. I mean, already in the 19th century, we knew it wasn't true anymore, but some of the concepts and the principles we could apply to like big and slow matters that we can study with the senses. But when you get into deeper and finer materials, such as leptons and quarks, it's not applicable anymore. And we know that since a long time. But we're still pretending that genes are as small as it gets, and that genes is the God, and that we can create consciousness through collecting enough data. All this nonsense. Okay, and we're slowly waking up because these are the structures that our society now is being guided by. Institutions of education are being rolled out through, and we're all seeing the negative impacts. I'm meeting more and more people who are just so sick of cell phones, so sick of all the apps they have to use. More and more people who just want to go back to Nokias and throw away their phones. And it's good. It's very good. I agree technology can help. I agree that podcasts are wonderful and Zoom meetings are great for when you live on opposite sides of the world. But everything else, everything in between, where we're just having these dialogues with people who live next door or just around the corner. Look at how I met this friend, 8 billion people. And I was thinking about her and I walked into her in the whole planet. She could have been still in Stockholm or in Berlin. I could have still been, I could have gone to Thailand, but I walked into her. I thought about her and I walked into it. And those beautiful magic things we are losing because of technology, because we are not allowing ourselves to just be spontaneous, to just see what the universe wants to serve up to us. What else are we killing? So much. Okay, and so Sweden was for me that complete opposite. There's space, there is enough, there is calm, there is time. And so yeah, that's what I want to get to today, is because I've taken the time and I'm now spending way less time on my screens, on tech. I'm not even listening to podcasts myself, hardly. Maybe one every 3 weeks, whereas before I was listening 2 or 3 a day. It's like, no, I can't. I don't want to. I want quality time. And so this embracing mind was first just, he was touching on, first chapter was part, there was 3 parts. First part was all about science and the history of science and how we got to where we were, and that science was for a long time not separate from spirituality. It's only in the Cartesian times that's changed. But then the next chapter is about meditation and spirituality and the different backgrounds, and then the last part is about the tools and the practices, which was quite short, like today will be quite short practice. But it was so inspiring, and I've just started meditating again, and now I'm meditating morning and night. I'm sleeping less, but that's okay because I don't need to, because I'm having these like long sessions of silence, and because of it I'm just realizing I have so much more time, and the day just seems to be full of space because of the meditation practice again, and I've so missed it. Like I was doing it before, but it was very short and it was very sporadic, and I was practicing my yoga, but it was always with this music in the background or something, which is nice if you're not feeling that connection and you need something to motivate you into practice. But now it's back to me and yoga and meditation from me, which is so good. It's so nourishing. So yeah, I've been inspired by all the freshness, the newness of Sweden, and I want to take that into the practice, into my teaching. So now I've decided that at for example, the sports club where I'm teaching, instead of just doing these beautiful classes with all aspects of all traditions of yoga, I'm now going to do every week for a whole week all the classes to one sequence from one tradition. And then the next week, another sequence. And that's inspiring me too. So I did the Shivananda, and then I did the Ashtanga, and now I'm doing the Anusara, and then I'll be doing Iyengar, and then the Vini. And like this, that everyone understands, and I'll explain things. And I have all these people coming up after the classes. Oh, it's so nice to see that you're an actual yoga teacher, that you're a yogi. And not just trying lots of different things out and going, okay, now we're doing this, now we're doing that, which is very chaotic. And that chaos is what symbolizes our society and is what people want to get away from. And we just want to go back into those mountains and the mist and the mystery of life and the mystery of ourselves. And what is the self? What are we? What is this conglomerate of me, of self? These concepts of ideas that package our perceptions, that form and inform what we see, perceive, feel, think, and therefore project back out onto the world. So yeah, I feel very calm, and I feel very connected, and I feel healthy and good for the first time in a long time, in 3 years, or even before, because I was going into the perimenopause, and before that it was the burnout and trying to find a home for like 2.5 years. So it's been an exhausting 5-6 years for me. And now I'm settling. The mind is settling, the heart, the soul, all into this beautiful body that I call me, which is just a temporary home for now. And yeah. And I just want to read something out of my book from The Issues in Our Tissues. So this is about emotional buildup and how it contributes to the illness that we're seeing at the moment in our friends, our family, or people around us, our society. So I'm still working at the community center. And some people have gotten better, some people have gotten worse. And we need to have these open, honest conversations, because if we don't know why it got worse, we can't help them. And we can pretend and be happy and positive, but it's not going to get us anywhere. So we have to face reality and see what's here, and don't deny. I mean, to say the self, what is the self, and the conglomerate of self doesn't mean I deny that there is a self who suffers, or there is a self that has diabetes. So we do have these issues, we do have things playing out, we do have adverse reactions to vaccines. And we have to be honest about that. And that is how we're going to move forward, not by sticking our heads in the sand or pretending it's all fine. We still have to remember, we have to dig up the problems. If you're a real researcher, if you're a real therapist, if you're a real healer, don't deny the dark stuff, because the dark stuff is where you find the solutions. So emotional buildup is the third major contributor to disease after nutritional and environmental toxins, according to Zach Bush. Emotional toxicity will shorten life and damage our quality of life more rapidly than any other biological process can. So this is Zach Bush's quotations. Our feelings, emotions, and heart have more influence than science backed by Big Pharma likes to acknowledge. According to the HeartMath Institute, the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart, significantly affecting brain function, influencing emotional processing, enhancing cognitive faculties such as attention, perception, memory, and problem solving. A stable pattern of the heart's input to the brain during positive emotional states facilitates cognitive function and reinforces positive feelings and emotional stability. This means that sustaining positive emotions not only benefits the entire body, but also profoundly affects how we perceive, think, feel, and perform. So I think that's very relative to now. So we're going to do a short practice. Part of it is from the Shivananda sequence, which is Kapalabhati and holding our breath. And part of it is from the Buddhist tradition of meditation and contemplation on compassion, because to feel compassionate, we feel the suffering of others. We see the suffering of others. We see the suffering of society. We see the craziness that we all live in and with. And it's in one way more difficult, but without compassion, our life is not as full, because without compassion, we are less connected, we are less interested, we are less likely to feel these positive emotions of joy and creativity and delight, because we only delight when we share something. We don't delight on our own. You cannot selfishly delight. It's not possible. Same for joy. It's only something we share when we have a deep sense of connection, either to the spirit or something that is alive, another person, a plant, or a being. And for that, we have to have compassion and empathy. So empathy, as you can see in our Western societies, and especially very big cities and densely populated places, we lose empathy because it's too full. You can't empathize with every person you meet because you meet so many people. But when you live in the country, and I just had one of my best friends who went to Greenland, and she said in Greenland there's less people. There's, what is it, 0.026% people living, so not even 1%, not even one person per square kilometer. That's how few. And she said it's just so calming, and people are just so kind and compassionate because there's the space you can trust. And when you see someone, you delight in meeting that other person because there's so much loneliness and we are social creatures who need connection. And you appreciate when you meet the person rather than irritate when you see someone else. That's the big difference. We are not meant to live in cities. We are not meant to live in these overcrowded 15-minute, whatever you want to call them. It's unhealthy. It's not an ideal. So I think all of us need to start pulling away from the cities, and we will slowly get there. Some of us are a little earlier than others. And start to recreate communities outside of these big bubbles of madness and scarcity and efficiency, which lacks empathy. So we're going to do this short practice. If you want to join me, please do. Otherwise, I'm sending you lots of love and kindness and compassion and calm. So make yourself comfortable. Allow yourself to sit straight. Become aware of the spine, your back, your head, and allow the head to rest between the shoulders. Allow the shoulders to rest on top of the hips. Allow the hips to rest on the floor, bed, chair, wherever you're sitting. And just become aware of the breathing. Feel the breath. Feel it rising and falling. Become aware of the space in the mind space. Akasha, Chitakasha. And then become aware of where mind and matter connect. So in the body, your mind feels, for example, where the breath enters the nostrils. Become aware of the sensations. See if you can just sense the breath moving in and out without any aversion or desire, without any filters of what you want or controlling the in breath or the out breath, just feeling what is. Now I want you to become aware of where you breathe in the belly or the chest. And now in the next out breath, I want you to fully exhale, using the belly, like lifting the belly up and in as you completely empty the lungs. And then with the next inhale, breathe into the belly, the chest, and the shoulders. So it becomes a 3-part breath, breathing into the belly, chest, and shoulders. Breathing out from the belly, chest, shoulders. Completely empty. Breathing in, belly, chest, shoulders. Breathing out, belly, chest, shoulders. Breathing in a comfortable breath. With the next out breath, I want you to breathe out forcefully through the nose, like you're blowing your nose. So this is Kapalabhati. We're going to do 10 rounds, breathing in a natural breath, comfortable breath, and we're going to do 10 times Kapalabhati, breathing out. And breathing in naturally, 3 breaths. Belly, chest, and shoulders, breathing in and out. Belly, chest, and shoulders, breathing in and out. Belly, chest, shoulders. And then breathing in a comfortable breath. And then hold the breath for 10 seconds. And then slowly release, breathing out, relaxing your face, neck, and shoulders. And breathing in 3 natural breaths. Belly, chest, and shoulders. Emptying completely. Belly, chest, shoulders. And again, full in-breath. And out-breath. Last in-breath, a comfortable in-breath. We're going to do 20 rounds of Kapalabhati. And breathing in 3 natural breaths, belly, chest, and shoulders. Emptying completely. And breathing in fully. Emptying fully. Belly, chest, shoulders. Breathing in a natural breath, full and comfortable. And then hold the breath 20 seconds. Relax the muscles, relax the face, the neck, the eyes, the tongue, the cheeks. Relax the shoulders. Bring the awareness to the heart, feeling the heart space. Keep the breath in. If you need to release earlier, just do so. 3, 2, 1, and breathing out, completely empty, releasing anything unwanted, unnecessary, and outgrown. Breathing in fully, 3 breaths. Breathing out, belly, chest, shoulders. Breathing in fully, belly, chest, shoulders. And empty completely. One last comfortable breath. We're doing a last round of Kapalabhati. 30 rounds. Slowly breathing in, full breath. Breathing out, completely empty. Belly, chest, shoulders. Breathing in, belly, chest, shoulders. One last comfortable in-breath. And hold the breath 30 seconds. If you need to release at any time, please do. Otherwise, just relax the eyes, the cheeks, the face, the tongue, the shoulders, and bring your awareness to the heart. And feel compassion in your heart. Feel the love in your heart. Feel the energy collecting around this area. Excuse the noises in the background of this recording. There's workers working on the building. 10 more. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release, breathing out gently, releasing anything that is not full of compassion, that isn't full love, releasing anything unwanted, and breathing in what you need, filling yourself with love, connection, compassion, empathy, and joy. And then just breathing out that love to the world, to those around you, to your world. And breathing in compassion for yourself, compassion for your thoughts, compassion for your body, compassion for the mind, and your sense of self. And then again, releasing, letting go. And just stay a moment with the contemplation, the reflection on compassion. What does compassion mean to you? How do you feel compassion for another? How can you turn that same feeling of compassion for others towards yourself, towards your mind, towards your actions? And what does compassion make us feel? It makes us feel like we belong. It makes us feel like we know deep down in ourselves that everything is going to be all right. It makes us become spacious. It makes us have this fresh faith in self, in life, in spirit, in the spirit of everything that is alive, our world, the mountains, the clouds, the lakes, the forests, the people we meet on the street. They are full of life. Be compassionate to that life that is yearning to come out. Take a moment to breathe in peace. Take a deep breath for Om. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Have a wonderful day, weekend, life.